How worried are the government about losing any of these votes?
I think we need to take very seriously all the different views, but I think we're reasonably confident. I was involved steering the EU Withdrawal Bill through at the Commons stage, and we won 57 out of 58 votes, and I'm reasonably confident that we'll get the legislation through. And of course, let's remember why it's important, because whether you voted Leave or Remain, we all want to avoid the legal cliff edge when we leave the EU, and we all want to accept that we need to take back control of our laws. And those are the two strategic things this bill does, and I think we should all be able to unite behind that.
Now, Amber Rudd and Ian Duncan-Smith, in their joint article this morning, are trying to be helpful, urging their colleagues to vote with the government, but they also heavily imply that a government defeat could actually risk either Theresa May's premiership or the government's safety itself. Raising the stakes that high and saying the government's in genuine peril, is that helpful?
Well, look, I think what it shows is you've got two former cabinet ministers on polar opposite sides of the EU campaign when we had the referendum, uniting and showing that the Conservative Party and indeed the country needs to be bigger than the sum of its parts.
But are they right when they say that if the government loses, that it could fall?
I think people thinking about voting against the government this week need to think very seriously about it. But the most important thing is that we get that legislation through, because it avoids the legal cliff edge. It makes sure that we have a smooth legal transition in relation to Brexit, and it sends the Prime Minister into the June Council with the wind in her sails, rather than perhaps delaying the domestic process.
But this is just kicking the can down the road, isn't it? Because what we're hearing quite clearly is even if you are able to keep some of your potential Remain rebels on side this week, when it comes to the amendment on the trade and customs bills, which are going to be debated before recess probably next month, you've got every chance of losing then.
Well, we had votes on the customs union and the single market before at the Commons stage that I described to you. We won all of them. But I don't think this is kicking the can down the road. Getting this legislation through will be a key turning point, I think, in the Brexit process, because we'll have the laws in place to make sure we can have that smooth transition. But we do need to make further progress in the talks, and that's what the June Council will do, particularly on those key trade talks.